Amazing turnaround. Poor girl discovered as Sue's hidden wife in a life-changing interview. Emily wiped the counter of Miller's Creek Diner with forced cheeriness, her damp rag catching the fluorescent light overhead, a reminder of the weight resting heavy on her shoulders. 2 jobs and classes at community college should have taught her resilience. Yet today felt different. She had a meeting scheduled with Jason, the CEO, living half a world away from her struggle, and she felt both exhilarated and terrified. Could one interview shift the trajectory of her life? As she set her small notepad next to the cash register at the gas station later that night, she felt an unfamiliar twinge of doubt. What if she failed? What could she possibly communicate to someone so far removed from her reality? The raw, bitter taste of inadequacy settled in her stomach. She belonged to the shadows of Miller South Creek, the place where dreams often slip through the cracks without ever being acknowledged. Investing in a marketing degree felt like chasing rainbows, beautiful but ephemeral. In the sleek, polished confines of Jason's office, her nerves tightened as he welcomed her with an easy smile that contrasted sharply with her chaotic thoughts. "You're here to get the scoop on me?" he teased, leaning back in his chair. In those moments she hesitated, recognizing the chasm between them. The weight of an unspoken class divide anchored her words. A part of her wanted to scream at the unfairness of it all, while the other part sought validation in this very encounter. She clenched her fists under the table, feeling both illusion and reality collide. Before they could share more than superficial labels, Emily dug deep, recounting her struggles, dreams, and a fervent belief in the American dream. Jason listened, his brow furrowing, eyes searching hers with an intensity that twisted her heart. The more she shared, the more an unshakable feeling of sincerity seeped into the conversation, an intimacy she rarely experienced. But irony dripped from her words. The fear of never measuring up battled with the hope that her tenacity could speak for itself. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." The atmosphere thickened, laden with history and unspoken truths. Just as Emily felt she might break through the surface of connection, she returned home and stumbled across old letters belonging to her mother. The words spoke of a hidden past captured in ink, a name that sent shockwaves through her mind. Jason was not just the CEO of an empire. He was tied to her mother's life, a long-lost friend, and by her mother's whispers, a piece of her identity. Suddenly, the weight of longing for a better life became heavier, tainted by betrayal. Jason's face, a beacon in an alien world, closed in around her. The shadows of her humble beginnings seemed menacing as the revelation rattled her core. She caught her breath. Was she truly buried beneath the weight of this secret? The echo of their mere connection flickered, suffocated by the specter of expectations, forcing her to confront her place in this chaotic narrative. Would she shatter or rise amidst the ruins? The clock ticked relentlessly as both figures remained ensnared by the complexities of their intertwining stories, each moment pulsating with tension, urging them to make a choice. In the quiet of revelation, Emily grappled with the truth. Was this connection worth jeopardizing her fight for a future, or the chance at true belonging? The revelation crashed over Emily like a tidal wave, leaving her gasping for air. A connection once so profound and difficult to untangle demanded her attention. Jason, once simply a CEO in her mind, transformed into an intricate piece of her mother's past, creating a complex knot of emotions that twisted inside her. She stared blankly at the scattered letters, feeling as though she were wading through thick fog. The way forward was unnaturally clouded with unanswered questions. What did this mean for her journey? She had come to see Jason as a potential mentor, a chance to escape the monotony of her existence. Yet now the implications threatened to collude with her ambition. Did she seek his guidance, knowing he had ties to her family, or armor herself against a history she had yet to fully understand? Straining to process her emotions, she sank into the worn-out couch of her small living room, her mother's letters in hand, but the words blurred together, metamorphosing into an unsolvable puzzle. Days passed since the fateful discovery, and the weight of expectations pressed harder on her chest. Determination coursed through her veins, but alongside it ran doubt, whispering incessantly in her ear. In school, she kept her grades high, always striving for excellence to prove to herself that she belonged in this world of aspirations. In her part-time job, she worked tirelessly, each shift reminding her of the grind that defined her life. Yet, now each success felt tainted by the revelation about Jason. Could she truly step forward into a new future while still tethered to an unresolved past? Fueled by frustration, she resolved to confront Jason face to face. She needed to understand the depth of their connection, not only for her sake but also for closure regarding her mother's legacy. With newfound resolve, Emily structured her questions, rehearsing scenarios as she paced the aisles of the diner during quiet hours. Would he welcome her inquiry or recoil into the armor of corporate confusion? The day of the meeting, her heart raced. She fixed her hair, slipping into a modest but polished outfit, a faint reminder of the confidence she sought to reclaim. After a nerve-wracking drive, she found herself outside his office again. As she crossed the threshold, the air buzzed with unknown possibilities, charged with the tension of their histories colliding. "Emily!" Jason exclaimed, genuine surprise etching his features. "What a pleasant surprise. Can we talk?" The request, though meek, rang with urgency. They settled across from each other, and she swirled the contents of her coffee nervously. "I found something about my mother and you." When the words hung in the air, she experienced a mix of relief and dread. The fight within her swirled. Was she about to dive into dangerous territory? His expression shifted, concern replacing his earlier mirth. "Your mother," she pressed on, needing to carve clarity from the fog of uncertainty. "I need to understand. Who were you to her? What is this connection?" As Jason took a deep breath, the weight of years seemed to settle between them, ready to unravel everything she had hoped to build or escape. What truths would emerge from the shadows, and what impact would they have on her shattered hopes? The moment hung delicately, each second stretched long with the promise of revelation. Would this meeting unfurl the layers of secrecy and push her toward clarity, or would it simply plunge her deeper into confusion? Emily felt raw and exposed, caught in the crosshairs of the revelation laid out before her. With the stakes rising, she sensed the turning tide. The battle for her next step was imminent, and she could either exploit this hidden knowledge for her gain, or let it ruin the dreams she had carefully crafted. The room seemed to pulse, brimming with tension and uncharted paths, ready to change everything. Would she dare to uncover the truth that lay at the intersection of their pasts? Jason's gaze fell to the table, the flickering shadows of the office lights playing across his serious demeanor. It was evident he was grappling with something profound, perhaps memories he had kept at bay for too long. Emily leaned in, her breath shallow, as if the very air strained under the moment's weight. "I wish I knew how to say this without it exploding between us," he began, his voice barely above a whisper. "Your mother. She was a remarkable woman, Emily." Each syllable seemed to echo through the room, amplifying Emily's urgency. Would he weave a story of regret, or would it be one filled with missed opportunities? She felt a flicker of determination ignite within her, wishing to steer this conversation toward clarity. Was she happy? The question slipped free, revealing the vulnerability she held. Well, past the obstacles life threw at her, she found moments of happiness, Jason replied cautiously, his gaze now heavy with nostalgia. "We ran into each other at a particularly turbulent time. I was just starting my career, and she had this fearless spirit that captivated everyone around her, including me. We were close. But life took us in different directions." Emily's heart raced. Close? The word held so many connotations, intertwining friendship with deeper emotions. "What do you mean by close? Did she know what you were building?" "She had ambitions of her own," he said, his fingers intertwining. "I would never take credit for her drive, for the dream she wanted to chase. But I encouraged her. I admired her determination. We both pushed each other in ways. There was potential for something significant." The implications lingered between them, like a charged current she felt in her bones. "And then?" Emily pressed, a mix of hope and trepidation coiling within her. "What happened to change that?" "I was naive, focused on developing my career," he admitted, his tone thick with regret. "In hindsight, I should have fought harder to make her a priority. I never realized how deeply we had intertwined until..." Until what? She asked, sensing the tension thickening in the air, curling around her thoughts. Until I heard the news about her passing. It shattered me. I had let a precious connection slip away, all in pursuit of success. The reality of that choice haunts me every day. Emily's momentum waned, the revelation striking her like a winter chill. Here was a man whose ambition had mirrored her own. Had they both been chasing shadows that kept them from the truths they needed to face? I came here seeking answers, but it sounds like you've lived a similar struggle, she replied, her voice steady despite the turmoil within. Is that why you never mention her to me, Jason? Because of this shared ambition? Partially, he conceded, but primarily because I wanted to respect her memory. I didn't know how to navigate sharing that part of my life with you. I didn't want to confuse your path with the load of unresolved history. His honesty sparked a fire within Emily, igniting a sense of purpose she hadn't felt until now. She realized the collision of their histories could be a force for transformation rather than a burden. She no longer solely wanted to escape her past. She was ready to embrace it. It feels like we're at a crossroads, Emily said, her resolve shaping the future she sought. If you want to mentor me as I navigate the corporate landscape, we have to do this together, truthfully. That means you share everything, your failures. My mother's legacy. Nothing can remain hidden if we're to succeed. He met her steely gaze, a flicker of respect crossing his face. I'm willing, but it will require vulnerability from both of us. As she nodded, feeling the undeniable strength of this new alliance, Emily understood they were both poised on the brink of a profound transformation. They were not just allies in ambition. They were grappling with the shadows of a shared past that could either bind them or define their individual paths. Both the tension and anticipation crackled in the air, sparking a realization that their collaboration could birth something truly unique. What would happen next? As they journeyed through the treacherous waters of corporate life while navigating personal histories, the time had come to face both their ambitions and fears, and only the truth would illuminate the path ahead. As Emily and Jason stood together, the weight of unspoken truths carving a wedge of possibility and uncertainty, she felt a surge of determination replace the initial shock that had gripped her. This alliance with Jason was not merely professional. It was a chance to confront the dual legacies of ambition and loss that bound them. She inhaled deeply, trying to tether her swirling thoughts. So where do we start? The question broke the silence that had thickened around them, dense with potential yet shadowed by their respective fears. Our first step must involve clarity. Jason's voice held a steadier tone now, his professional demeanor returning, infused with an urgency Emily had not noticed before. Let us create a roadmap, focusing on both your objectives and the ways we can honor your mother's contributions. The notion appealed to her eagerly. She thought of the countless hours spent watching her mother invest into projects that had often gone unrecognized. And what about your personal reflection on all this? Your voice needs to be part of the equation too. I'll share my experiences, both the triumphs and regrets, Jason affirmed, meeting her penetrating gaze. But understand, Emily, our narratives can be intertwined like threads in fabric. One story might overshadow the other if we're not careful. Emily took a step back, allowing his words the space they deserved. Was she willing to share the spotlight? Would she be able to unravel parts of her own life that were fragile? I'm ready. Let's take those stories and build something together. The resolve in her voice surprised even her. Over the next few hours, they sketched out an intensively intimate plan that wove her mother's legacy into each aspect of her approach to the corporate world. Emily was astonished by how easily the details spilled forth: the desire to launch a mentorship program dedicated to women who felt unheard, much like her mother must have once felt. What about the conflicts we might face? Jason probed, folding his arms thoughtfully. Corporate environments aren't known for their leniency towards emotional initiatives. That question triggered a knot of doubt in her stomach, yet it reminded her of her own mother's struggles. We need to set parameters. I refuse to let fear dictate my ambition. Let us frame each potential obstacle as a learning opportunity. Jason was silent for a moment, contemplating her fierce resolve. Upon seeing her determination unwavering, he smiled slightly. That's the spirit I admire. But know that this requires constant vigilance. We might meet resistance from others, and it's crucial we remain steadfast. In the following weeks, their collaborative effort took shape, transforming the emotional clarity of their conversation into tangible plans. Emily dove headfirst into research on corporate dynamics and mentorship frameworks. Every sleepless night spent refining her ideas only stoked the burgeoning fire within her. Gone were the days of passivity. She had become the architect of her future, armed with the tragic yet liberating stories of those who had come before her. One fateful afternoon, while sifting through feedback on their proposals, Emily received an unsolicited email from an unknown sender. The subject line simply read, "Important legacy." The message revealed details about her mother's hidden struggles, including a previous partnership involving a significant nonprofit initiative that never saw the light of day due to her mother's untimely demise. Confusion and tension electrified the air around her, igniting an urgent sense of purpose. Just when she thought she had the roadmap figured out, this revelation could alter everything they're striving for. She clutched her phone, battling between the pull of the new information and her long-held desire to chase a brighter future. "Jason," she called out, the urgency in her tone cutting through his focused silence. "You need to see this." Each heartbeat quickened her pulse as she anticipated sharing this new chapter with him, knowing it could either splinter their collaboration or solidify their bond. What secrets lay hidden in her mother's legacy that could turn the tide in her favor, both personally and professionally? Only the unfolding story would reveal whether this unexpected twist would catalyze her vision or leave her grappling with deeper dilemmas. As Emily thrust the phone toward Jason, her heart pounded, each beat echoing the magnitude of the revelation. She could see his brow furrow as he scanned the email, his eyes flickering between surprise and contemplation. The words hung in the air, demanding more than just recognition. They demanded action. "What is this?" he finally asked, his tone laced with concern mingled with curiosity. It struck her how vulnerable they both were, standing on the edge of a profound personal and vocational shift. "It's about my mother," Emily breathed, her voice trembling slightly. There was a project she was involved in, one she never had the chance to see through. It was supposed to match women from underrepresented backgrounds with mentors in corporate spaces, but it fell through. Jason's expression shifted, the initial surprise transforming into understanding. "This is big. If we can resurrect this initiative." "Exactly," Emily interjected, her excitement palpable. "But it's more than just reviving an old project. This is about honoring her legacy, intertwining it with what I want to achieve." Jason nodded slowly. "But we need to be strategic. You know how corporate boards will react. Emotional initiatives might be seen as distractions, unless they can be framed as profitable or essential to company culture." The anxiety bubbling in her chest transitioned into determination. "So we frame it exactly that way. We present it not just as an emotional initiative, but as a means to cultivate talent that can drive our company's growth." Silence hung between them, each absorbing the weight of what that meant. Thoughts churned within Emily's mind, the possibilities, the challenges, the potential fallout. She had long been viewed as the shadow of her mother's legacy, but now she saw a path where she could forge her own destiny. However, hidden under her growing confidence were remnants of doubt. The essence of who she was, her capabilities, often seemed eclipsed by the magnitude of her mother's achievements. Could she genuinely pull this off? "Emily, this is personal for you." Jason broke the silence, his voice calm yet direct. "You need to ensure that your emotions don't cloud the professional aspects of this initiative. Emotional investments can blur perceptions. That's why I need your perspective, Jason. You've navigated these waters before. I can't go solo." Her plea stood testament to her self-awareness, acknowledging that while her drive was fierce, support was crucial. He looked at her thoughtfully. "Let us do a strategic analysis. We'll identify key stakeholders and articulate the business needs this mentorship program addresses. If we can talk numbers, we stand a better chance of getting buy-in." Work began anew, each meeting charged with a relentless energy. They dove into research, gathering statistics that linked diverse mentorship with improved corporate performance. Slowly, Emily's unease transformed into a well-honed focus. This was not just about her story, but thousands of others like her mother who believed in a world where voices could rise above silence. As weeks passed and their presentation evolved, small breakthroughs occurred. Meetings were scheduled, proposals reshaped, and awareness slowly built. Yet, The tumultuous cadence of corporate life brought unexpected challenges. One afternoon, as Emily paced restlessly, a thought gnawed at her mind: what if the initiative drew ire from higher-ups, or inadvertently soul-crushed her mother's legacy? What if it was seen as another fleeting project rather than a long-lasting change agent? Her doubts surfaced, the rapid beats of her heart echoing the unease. She understood the stakes now. This was more than just a project. It was a legacy intertwined with her identity. Jason, what if they see this as a threat? She posed, her voice heavy with apprehension. They might, he replied, but threats can also catalyze change. You need to prepare to speak your truth, both in terms of what this initiative means for you and what it could mean for the organization. As their deadline approached, the weight of her mother's legacy loomed ever larger, igniting both fear and resolve. Deep down, she recognized this was her moment to confront not only external resistance, but her internal demons regarding ambition and worthiness. If she took this plunge, could she indeed recreate the pathway her mother had envisioned? What risks would it require her to shatter existing paradigms? And would she find triumph in even the faintest of whispers resonating from that legacy? With a clearing breath, Emily steeled herself. This was the beginning of a pivotal revelation. As they stood on the cusp of presenting their proposal, she asked herself, what would it truly mean to embrace the weight of her mother's story, transforming its shadows into a beacon of inspiration? But as she turned the thoughts over in her mind, an unexpected message flickered on Jason's phone, and it bore a name that could change everything. Emily's heart stopped for a moment as she caught sight of the name on Jason's phone. It was the last person she expected to appear in this context. Her breath hitched, and the urgent rhythm of her pulse filled her ears. Who is it? She asked, her voice barely a whisper, laced with equal parts curiosity and dread. Jason's gaze flitted between the screen and Emily's wide eyes. It's your mother's former colleague, Karen. She's the CEO of a rising tech company, and was instrumental in the original project, he replied, lowering the phone as if the revelation needed careful handling. Karen. The name sent waves of memories crashing through Emily's mind. She had met Karen only a couple of times, but her mother always spoke of her with admiration. What does she want? There's an invitation to meet her this week. She's interested in hearing about your plans, Jason explained, his tone both encouraging and cautious. The weight of the opportunity pressed down on Emily. She wrestled with the ambivalence swelling in her chest. If Karen was willing to engage, that could lend credibility to their initiative, yet it could also expose her vulnerabilities. Would she be ready to articulate her vision in front of someone who had once worked alongside her mother, who might judge her by her merits or measure her against her mother's legacy? In a moment of self-reflection, Emily grasped her chance to reshape the narrative she had long felt stuck in. Yes, I want to meet her, she declared, surprising Jason with the assertiveness of her response. I need to. If anything, I want to show her my vision, not my past. The next few days became a whirlwind of mixed emotions. Emily poured herself into preparing for her meeting with Karen. She crafted notes, made presentations, and rehearsed her points. Each to-do item felt monumental, not just as a professional endeavor, but as a mission to redefine her identity. The task pulled her out of the shadows, and slowly, she began to understand the depth of her mother's legacy. However, doubts persistently clung to the edges of her mind. What if her ideas weren't innovative enough? What if she stammered through her pitch? The fear of failure simmered just beneath her resolve. It hovered like a specter, taunting her with what could go wrong. As the meeting day approached, Emily dug deep to confront these fears. Stepping out of her comfort zone was paralyzing. Yet the alternative, a life defined by complacency, felt unbearable. With each passing hour, she recognized that this was an opportunity to step into her own light, to shape a narrative that fused her mother's spirit with her own ambition. On the day of the meeting, she donned a blazer that made her feel powerful and confident, a physical manifestation of her inner resolve. She rehearsed her opening line in front of the mirror, her voice echoing against the glass as she repeated, I'm here to present a new evolution of my mother's vision. As she practiced, she caught a glimpse of what she was becoming, not just a reflection of her mother's past, but a woman poised to carve a path that was distinctly her own. When she finally entered the glass-walled conference room, the world outside seemed to fade away. Karen was seated at the end of the table, her expression inscrutable yet welcoming. The moment felt like a dramatic crescendo, the kind that could dictate Emily's future. Emily, Karen began as Emily drew a breath and prepared to share the amalgamation of research, emotion, and intent she had crafted with Jason. Her pulse raced, anticipation mingling with apprehension. I've heard a lot about your mother's passion. I'm eager to know how you plan to continue that legacy. With clarity and purpose filling the space around her, Emily made her choice. This was her moment to confront the past, assert her vision, and redefine what legacy meant in her life. She opened her mouth, ready to speak her truth, but just as she leaned into the narrative, her phone buzzed softly in her pocket, another unexpected message. Would this one unravel her carefully woven plans or amplify her courage? The tension hung heavily in the air, a genuine crossroads moment waiting to unfold. Emily glanced at her phone screen, the message lighting up in stark contrast to the dim conference room. It was from Jason. Just breathe. You've got this, he had typed, radiating warmth and belief in her abilities. Yet, at that moment, it felt like a last-minute reprieve before a plunge into uncertainty. Shoving the phone back into her pocket, she steeled herself. The stakes were monumental. This was not merely a chance to pitch her ideas to a CEO, but an opportunity to validate her existence in the tech realm, free from the shadows of her mother's accomplishments. She had dreamed of this moment, envisioned each detail. Now it was her reality. Legacy, she echoed in her thoughts as she stared at Karen, assessing the subtle nuances of the other woman's expression. Yes, I want to honor my mother's vision, but I'm also here to demonstrate my unique perspective. With newfound determination, she began. Karen, my mother was an innovator, but the world has changed since she laid the groundwork for this project. My proposal builds on that foundation while addressing the growing need for user-centric technology. I envision a platform that adapts intuitively to people's daily lives, not just a tool but a companion. As she spoke, confidence surged within her. The words were more than scripted lines. They resonated with the truth of her ambitions. She outlined her vision with clarity, weaving in her own experiences and insights, referencing how her recent research had pointed to a more inclusive design strategy that could set their work apart. Karen leaned forward, her interest visibly piqued. You're suggesting a paradigm shift, she said, her voice sharp yet intrigued. But how do you plan to implement such extensive changes without overwhelming your team or budget constraints? Emily paused. A flood of possibilities rushed through her mind, assessing both the risks and the logistics of her plan. I believe in designing iteratively, she stated, her voice steady. By focusing on pilot projects, we can test concepts in smaller doses, learn from direct user feedback, and adjust effectively. It's crucial to involve our team throughout the process, fostering collaboration over authoritative directives. The conversation shifted from her nervous pitch to a dynamic exchange, and for the first time, she truly felt she was not just vying for validation but actually contributing. Emily thrived in the dialogue, engaging with Karen's questions, turning them into opportunities to showcase her ideas. Each response solidified her belief that she could belong in this world. Yet, in the back of her mind, her earlier fears lurked like shadows, occasionally dampening her confidence. What if Karen still saw her merely as an extension of her mother? Changing that perception was as critical as fine-tuning her strategies. As their discussion wrapped up, Karen expressed a genuine interest to continue the conversation. I would like to see a detailed presentation of your plan next week. It's ambitious and aligns well with where I see the market heading. Emily's heart raced for a different reason now. She was on the brink of being taken seriously. Exhilaration and trepidation intertwined within her. She would have to deliver even more, dive deeper into her plan, and raise her performance bar. Leaving the room, adrenaline coursing through her veins, Emily realized that this was just the beginning. She had crafted a vision that didn't just honor her mother, but encompassed her own aspirations and identity. However, this quick success hinted at further challenges ahead. Would they hold her accountable for her performance, demanding perfection that could unravel her confidence? As she walked down the corridor, preparing for the next steps, her phone buzzed again. This time it was from an unknown number. Curiosity piqued, she hesitated. What further twists were waiting for her in this journey of self-discovery and professional evolution? She couldn't shake the feeling that her life was teetering on another sudden change. Would it be a leap forward or an unexpected Setback? Before she could gather her thoughts, she pressed her thumb to the screen to read the message. The message displayed on her screen was as disconcerting as it was unexpected. We need to talk. I have important information that could affect your future. Call me. Emily stared at the words, a racing pulse matching the sudden shift in her stomach. Questions swarmed in her mind. Who was this person? What could they possibly know that might alter the precarious balance she had begun to achieve? Intrigued yet apprehensive, she shoved the phone back into her pocket and returned her attention to the tasks ahead. She needed clarity, not distractions. Determined to focus on her upcoming presentation for Karen, Emily dove into her research. She mapped out her plan in meticulous detail, filling her mind with projections, iterating designs, and visualizing the user experience she wanted to create. Each brush of her pen on paper regenerated her confidence, a tangible reminder that she had a unique voice in a world often dominated by legacy. Still, doubt crept in. The essence of her mother's brilliance manifested in every thought. What if she faltered? The specter of her mother's formidable reputation haunted her, providing both guidance and an ever-present benchmark of excellence. The idea of disappointing Karen didn't scare her nearly as much as the thought of not living up to her own potential. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Emily shut her laptop and leaned back in her chair, feeling the weight of the moment. She needed a balance, one that would let her acknowledge her mother's influence while carving her own path. An honor, not a burden, she whispered to herself. This time she wouldn't just tread on her predecessor's legacy, but would dare to expand it with her ideas. Later that night, as she prepared to drift into sleep, the earlier message lingered. The desire to confront whatever reality it promised gnawed at her. Anxiety spiraled inward, forcing her to consider a call. As if sensing her dilemma, her phone buzzed anew. It was Jason again, checking in. She hesitated, then replied, "Can you talk?" When he called a few moments later, Emily felt the warmth of his familiar voice, an anchor amid her swirling thoughts. "What's going on?" he asked, concern lacing his tone. "I received a strange message from an unknown number," she confessed, "and it feels important somehow." "Important can be good or bad," Jason noted thoughtfully. "Are you sure you want to open that door? I just need to know what it is." "If I don't, it will gnaw at me," she replied, wrestling with her internal conflict. "Just remember who you are, Emily. You're stepping into this new identity as your own person. Whatever they have doesn't define your future. You do." His words struck a chord. It was time for her to believe in her own strength, to not just be seen as a name tied to her mother, but as Emily, a capable woman with ideas that could change the industry landscape. Finally, she summoned the courage and dialed the unknown number. The phone rang once, twice, and then a voice picked up on the other end, a voice that felt both foreign and yet, in some strange way, familiar. "Emily, I have crucial details about your mother that you need to hear." Her breath hitched, and a shiver of both fear and curiosity surged through her. Was this the moment that would either disrupt her newfound confidence or each connection she had built? "Tell me," she urged, her heart hammering in her chest, ready for whatever revelation lay ahead. Would this be the key to solidifying her place in the tech world? Or would it unravel everything she fought to establish? Before she could dwell on the implications, the voice on the line revealed information that would shake her understanding of not only her past, but her future as well. The air in Emily's lungs felt sharp and cold as the voice on the line delivered a revelation that pierced through her unwavering resolve. Your mother was involved in a project that went beyond what you might know. It was not just about tech, it was about power, access, and significant stakes. I needed you to understand this because it might impact your trajectory in the industry. Emily clenched her jaw, grappling with the complexity of the information. Power and access? Her mother had often spoken about ethical technology, about using innovation to facilitate understanding and connection. What could she have possibly been involved in that contradicted that vision? "What do you mean?" she managed to reply, forcing her mind to process the implications without spiraling into confusion or anger. "The project was ambitious," the voice continued, "and it attracted attention, both good and bad. Your mother was a key player, and there are some in the industry who might see her legacy as a threat to the status quo. They see you as a potential ally or enemy." Alarms blared in Emily's mind as she recognized the enormity of what she was hearing. The stakes felt dangerously high, and the pressure to navigate them alone left her feeling isolated. Who could she trust? Had her mother shielded her from this reality, or was her own naivety the real danger? As they spoke, Emily's thoughts darted between what she had envisioned for her upcoming presentation and the shadows of the past that now loomed over her. The project she considered to be a minor part of her mother's legacy was now presented as a double-edged sword, an inheritance of ambition tinged with danger. "Are you there, Emily?" The voice snapped her back to the present. "You need to decide how you want to approach this. Ignoring it won't protect you." She straightened in her chair, determination igniting within her. "I am not going to be defined by my mother's past. I'm not afraid of the legacy, but I will carve my own path. I won't allow fear to guide my choices." "Good. But tread carefully. Your mother's legacy can be a powerful shield or a heavy anchor, depending on how you wield it." The call ended abruptly, leaving her with a cacophony of thoughts banging against the walls of her consciousness. Emily exhaled, her senses heightened, igniting a fire within her to transform anxiety into action. She would need to rethink her presentation not just to impress Karen, but to build a strategy that could shift the narrative surrounding her mother's reputation and influence. With fierce resolve, she grabbed her notebook, flipping through pages and notes. It was time to redefine the concept of legacy. The presentation would serve as more than just a functional display of her ideas. It would be a manifesto of her agency and independence. She had to showcase her vision of ethical technology, one that would honor her mother, but also frame it within her own values. As she wrote, she realized that her battle was not just against external forces, but also the internal ones whispering doubts. She had to be bold, to push the boundaries of expectation. A line she had written surged forth. "Innovation isn't just born of brilliance. It thrives in authenticity." The hours melted away as ideas flowed, her fingers racing over the page without hesitation. It was exhilarating, a reawakening of purpose. Each point became sharper, each visual richer with meaning, each word fortified by confidence. Finally, as dawn began to glow on the horizon, Emily rested her pen, knowing that this presentation was her moment to assert herself in the industry. But even as she felt the thrill of empowerment, an underlying question bubbled within. What repercussions awaited her as she stepped boldly into her mother's world? With the day ahead, she stood poised at the threshold of revelation and reckoning, ready to confront the shadows of her past. The time had come to present her vision and face whatever awaited her next. Would this unveiling cultivate allies or enemies? As she took a deep breath, a new message blinked on her phone, a reminder that challenges were always just a call away. Sitting in the glossy conference room once more, Emily felt a mix of electrifying anticipation and lingering fears. This time the stakes had shifted. No longer did she simply carry the weight of her mother's legacy, she was now ready to reclaim and reshape it. Each detail of her presentation flashed through her mind, her heart steadying with purpose as she prepared to unveil her vision to Karen. Legacy isn't just a shadow we walk in. It's a beacon we carry forward, she thought, reminding herself of the path she had paved through doubt and discovery. This was more than a project. It was her lifeline, an expression of who she was and who she would become. As Karen walked into the room, Emily instinctively straightened her posture, embodying the confidence she had worked so hard to cultivate. The interaction was no longer a confrontation with the specter from her mother's past. It was a forthright collaboration, a journey toward mutual discovery. "Emily, I appreciate you taking this leap," Karen said, her tone genuine as she took a seat. "I'm eager to see what you've developed." With a steady breath, Emily pulled the refined proposal from her laptop, recalling the countless nights dedicated to crafting not just her mother's story, but her own as well. "Today, I want to share a vision that honors my mother's commitment to innovation, while reshaping it for a future we desperately need." As she began, the words flowed from her lips with clarity and passion, energized by insights that connected the past to a hopeful future. She spoke of accessible technology tailored to uplift marginalized voices, demonstrating the value of a mentorship program that would empower women like her mother had aspired to be. Karen listened intently, her expression shifting from curiosity to admiration, as Emily detailed projections on performance and impact. In embracing this initiative, we're not just challenging the norms of our industry. We're redefining them, Emily concluded, bolstered by the conviction she had gathered over weeks of self-reflection and strategic planning. A moment of silence enveloped them, thick with meaning. Then Karen smiled appreciatively. "This is bold, Emily. I believe you've created a framework that aligns with our goals. Your drive is palpable just as your mother's once was. This could really make waves in our organization." As those words settled into Emily's consciousness, an exhilarating rush of validation coursed through her veins. The fears that had dogged her receded momentarily, replaced by a powerful sense of achievement. Not only had she brought her vision to life, but she had done so on her own terms. This was a breakthrough, a definitive differentiation of Emily from her mother's legacy, an assertion of her own capabilities, burgeoning talents, and passion. "So what comes next?" Karen asked, leaning forward with genuine curiosity. "We establish a timeline to integrate this initiative into our existing framework," Emily replied, feeling the thrill of collaborative momentum begin to build. "This isn't just about carrying the torch. It's about igniting a movement that can inspire change within our industry." Just as the conversation turned toward practicalities, Emily's phone buzzed in her pocket once more. But this time she didn't flinch. The moment was hers, and she was not merely defined by the echoes of the past. After quickly glancing at the screen, another supportive message from Jason, she redirected her focus back to the present. "As we embark on this journey," Emily stated, "I'll ensure we engage all stakeholders effectively. I want to create a transformation that resonates at every level and secures buy-in before we implement. It's vital we frame our objectives as integral to company culture in today's evolving landscape." Karen nodded in agreement. "I'd like to partner closely on this, Emily. Let us make sure it resonates." The newfound collaborative spirit that flowed between them rekindled the spark of excitement within Emily. She was no longer wrestling with shadows. She was stepping boldly into the light, ready to establish her identity in a world that had once felt insurmountable. In those moments, her mind drifted back to the swirling doubts of her past life, the feeling of being overshadowed by an identity laden with expectations. It dawned on her how much she had transformed. From the scared girl behind the diner counter grappling with the weight of her mother's legacy to a confident leader poised to ignite change through innovation and vision. "Emily," Karen's voice broke through her contemplation, "we can make this happen. You're prepared for this journey. I can see it in your eyes." As they delved deeper into brainstorming logistics and timelines, Emily experienced a profound sense of belonging. This was her reality now, a life built on resilience, ambition, and the forging of a new path. With each detail meticulously crafted, memories of uncertainty faded, leaving room for the growth she had achieved. The presentation concluded with a renewed sense of purpose. Emily left the conference room brimming with optimism, a radiant smile on her face reflecting a pathway laced with her own ambitions unshackled from the weight of expectation. She had not only carved her space within the industry, she had succeeded in reshaping the narrative of her life. As she exited the building, sunlight basking her in warm hues, Emily felt liberated. She understood that accepting her mother's legacy didn't mean losing herself. It meant embracing it as part of her story. She could build upon it while standing firm in her own identity. Her triumph solidified as she took decisive steps forward. In that instant, a wave of gratitude surged through her for each challenge she had faced. From a diner worker questioning her worth, to a vocational presentation that had the potential to shift industry paradigms, Emily had emerged with an established competence grounded in authentic growth. The journey was hers, and as she walked toward her next challenge, she knew she was ready to face it head-on. This was the beginning of a new chapter, a narrative not tethered to shadows but propelled by conviction and ambition. You need to subscribe now to witness Emily's groundbreaking journey and the emotional stories that unfold next. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, ensuring others discover this transformation. Comment your reactions and theories about Emily's remarkable journey. Let us ignite the conversation. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful conclusion. They deserve to be inspired just like you.